think of the word hood, I think of a person, a place, and perhaps even a thing. I'm Sir Creepsta, and welcome to Mineral County Ghost Stories from the Hood Shorts. So, sit back, relax, grab up all your snacks, and be terrified by yet another ghost story from the Hood. The year was 1976. Myself and about 5 of my friends had decided to make an 8-mile bike ride to Greenville, Kentucky the upcoming Saturday morning. Just to chill out with a few of our friends that lived there, engage in a few games of basketball on the court located directly behind the old colored school, and then afterwards ride over to the projects to visit with a few of the girls there that we all knew. Seeing that Highway 62 was a busy highway, and myself and my friends only being around 13 or 14 at the time, we had made a promise to our parents that we would take the back road located behind the new Walmart in Central City because it was a much safer route, and it was often a cool, relaxing ride that allowed us to take on the beautiful nature and wildlife that the country offered. About 2 miles into the ride, a few of the guys brought up the fact that we might, by chance, run into a local man that lived off of the back road, whom had been given the nickname Snake Man because he was often spotted handling a variety of different non-venomous snakes, and if by chance he got the opportunity, he was known to try and chase you down just to scare you by pretending to toss the snakes on you. Totally aware of this, we were all on full alert of perhaps running into Snake Man. On this particular morning, Snake Man would be the least of our worries. Midway down the heavily wooded area, one of the guys asked if we had heard what sounded like someone chopping down some trees from a distance. Immediately, the rest of us responded back to our friend, replying, "Yes, we do." As we cautiously approached the chopping sound, it became louder and louder, so loud that the cutting sounds echoed throughout the woods. As we paddled further down the road, we could all see what appeared to be a man cutting down a tree on the side of the road. But once arriving in the vicinity of the cutting, we were all amazed and frightened at the same time to find nothing or no signs of anyone else on that quiet country road but us. It was as if the man just vanished into thin air when he stepped on the side of the tree he was chopping. This frightened us all so much that we shot down the road, paddling as fast as our young legs would carry us, passing by Snake Man's house so fast that we never gave him or his snakes a second thought. It would be one of the last times that myself and the rest of the guys would ever use that back road as a safe haven to go on a bike ride to Greenville ever again. Never knowing to this very day who or what made those loud chopping sounds. But before I go any further, please don't forget to smash the devil out of that like button. Also, click on the bell icon so that you can stay in the loop and be notified each and every time I drop a brand new video. The year was 1973. A couple of months had passed by and Mama was still doing her best to deal with the tragic loss of her baby brother, who had sadly lost his life in a Good Times house that was practically located right in our backyard one rainy night. One evening while Mama was sitting out on the front porch, Louise, the lady who happened to live in the house, would approach Mama with some news that would forever change Mama's life and the way she viewed anything remotely supernatural or paranormal. Louise walked up to Mama, giving her condolences once again for the loss of her brother. This was immediately followed up with some of the most frightening and disturbing news Mama had ever heard. She was going to tell Mama that for the past few months, the spot on her carpet that my Uncle James had bled out at would mysteriously become soaked with what appeared to have been blood, and that it would only happen for some unknown reason while it was raining, and that no matter how hard she and her husband tried to remove the bloodstains from the carpet, they would always appear whenever it rained. Hearing this from Louise scared my mama to death, from just the thought of knowing that her brother's blood would not go away completely, regardless of how hard Louise and her husband tried to remove it. Time would pass by with Louise telling Mama whenever she would see her that nothing had changed regarding her bloodstained carpet. Finally, the couple was left with no other choice but to completely remove the carpet from the floor and replace it with new carpet, or else the blood kept showing up regardless of that. But she also would tell Mama that she knew for sure that Uncle James' spirit was still in her home because she continued to smell the blood each and every time it rained, up until the day she and her husband died. Courtney had been sitting at home most of the day, just relaxing and listening to some music, when he decided to take a stroll down the tracks, cut up through the alleyway, and go to what was known then as the Hill, a spot located by the old colored elementary school in Central City, to hang out with some friends for the rest of the day. Darkness had already fallen, so visibility on the railroad tracks was very limited to say the least. Midway through his walk, Courtney thought he heard someone walking down the dark tracks from behind him. But when he would turn around to try and see perhaps whom it might be, no one would be there. This baffled Courtney, to say the least, as he still proceeded to make his way to the hill. But for every step Courtney took forward, he could still hear the footsteps dragging through the gravel on the tracks, and they were unmistakably coming from behind him. So he stopped one more time, turned around, and to his surprise, right before his very eyes, was what appeared to be an elderly man wearing a beige suit and matching top hat, with no noticeable facial appearance, heading his way. The hairs instantly stood up on Courtney's arms, for he knew for sure that although he had heard the footsteps from behind him, whenever he turned around, nothing was there. So Courtney picked up his pace and walked as fast as he could, with whatever it was following behind him doing the exact same thing. Right as Courtney reached the path that would take him to the hill, he briefly turned around one last time to try and see who in fact this faceless night walker was. But when he did, to his utter surprise, the faceless man in the suit and top hat was gone, as if he or whatever was there was never there. To this very day, when asked by his friends who or what it was he saw on that dreadful night, Courtney still doesn't have an explanation. All he knows for sure is that it scared the crap out of him, and it still does to this very day. The year was 1996. I had made a trip into the projects located on the south side of town to visit with my then girlfriend. Arriving at her house at around 4 p.m., I was a little upset to find that she had left me a note in the door stating that she had to run out for a minute to go and check up on her auntie who had fallen ill. Cell phones were relatively new at the time, and although I had gotten myself one, my girlfriend still hadn't. So we had no means of talking to one another other than the landline that she had in her house. Not knowing for sure how long she might be gone, I decided to take out my flip phone and call and check up on my grandparents, who only lived a few apartments away. When I dialed their number, Granny immediately answered the phone. While I was about to ask Granny how everything was, I thought for a split second that I heard another voice in the house with her. It wasn't my grandfather's. Although I thought briefly that I recognized the voice, I still went about asking Granny who was there in the house with her. Not hesitating one moment, Granny responded back to my question by telling me that she was just sitting there talking to her brother Fred. This took me by complete surprise, and goosebumps covered my entire body, for I knew for a fact that this couldn't be true. Uncle Fred had been dead for several years by now. So I burst through the back part of the grandparents' backyard and ran up to her back door, which was open and unlocked, went into the living room, and there I found my Granny, engaged in a conversation with an unseen entity. Granny turned and saw me coming through the kitchen and said, "Hey baby, how are you?" Then looked me in my eyes and told me that I just missed Fred. This blew my mind because I clearly heard another voice over the phone when I called my granny. And the voice that I heard, without a doubt, in my mind belonged to my deceased great uncle, who somehow had come back to pay his sister a paranormal visit. That's all for tonight, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the story that I shared with you tonight. And don't forget to stay tuned to my channel for more Ghost Stories from the Hood shorts. I'm Sir Creepsta, and until next time, stay terrified. Ha 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 ha!